Marvelous Monday to you, Instagram. We are here for our weekly MindShift Monday, where we are all about shifting our mind and changing all aspect of our lives. We have the fabulous who is tuning in, the emotional locksmith. We're going to invite her to come on in because of a very special topic on today. Okay, there we go.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. We're
Awesome.
excited to come on and share with today's topic. And as you know, we jump right
Yes.
in. And so, earlier this month, you let me know that it was Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, it is.
And with that being the case, we've been having some discussions on and off camera, centering around why it's such an important thing to consider our mental health and what some of the tools and strategies that we should have in our toolbox might be. And we want to come to this phrase today. I am not okay. I am not okay. And I wanted to ask you, Celeste, like, how difficult have you found it for people to say those words in your practice?
So interesting. If I know when we were talking about normalizing the whole "I'm not okay," because most of the time people walk around, especially church, has mastered the lack of vulnerability and the lie of "I'm okay." And so the idea of not being okay can be scary because, number one, it does make you have to be vulnerable. Number two, it can push some people away. And the fear of that will keep people from doing it all day long. It's like, if I really tell you how I feel, how are you going to respond to that? But this whole National Men's Mental Health Month, I don't know. I think I know both men and women do it. But when is it okay not to be okay? Like, what environment has to be created in order for you to be okay not being okay?
Yeah, that's a valid point because you say, when is it okay? And I would argue it's always okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
Different people receive and respond to things in different ways. And as you're coming in now, just let us know in the comments if you have had the experience of verbalizing someone, I am not okay. Was it different for you? Was it something that you were able to do, understanding that you weren't going to be judged, that you weren't going to be looked at funny, that you weren't going to be looked at as though you were crazy? What is your experience? Please let us know. We would love to hear.
Yeah, and we want to welcome you as we come on to MindShift Monday. Valvel, not Valerie. Hello, welcome. Solio22 EMT 1970, who usually comes on our lives and has something to say. We'll see if he's nice to me today. And Sanaya Trinette, welcome. And everybody coming in, just welcome. This is an open discussion, and Growth Coach D and I are going to be tackling that whole thing. Like, is it okay not to be okay? Growth Coach D, you said it's always okay. It's always okay, but what brings us to the point where, first of all, what does it mean to be okay? Like, what does that even mean?
You talk about that in this book that somebody wrote.
Right. Like, that's actually the first day of my devotional. It's okay. I didn't even think about that, Danny. That's so funny. Look, and I wrote it, but yeah, the first one, it's okay.
It's good. Not only did she write it, but it's good. It's good.
It's good. Well, thank you.
Y'all need to head to Amazon and check it out. Make sure you leave a 5-star review, because the rewritten mind and the power of a new narrative, it's right in line with MindShift Mondays and what it is we're here to do. Because once we recognize where we are, this is why the phrase is so important. Because once we recognize where we are, we can get somewhere else.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
go ahead. I didn't want to steal your thunder when it came
No,
to breaking down.
you're good. You always, yeah, we're always right there together, even when we disagree, as we do sometimes, right? And so, but this whole thing about being okay, like I would be inside the therapy room. This is when I was doing all my therapy in person. And no matter what my clients were going through, I'm talking about, you name a topic, if I saw them kind of puzzled, very pensive, like just deep thought, like they felt completely stuck, I would literally get up, I would walk to the board, and I would write these words. It's 2 words. And I would tell them, I said, these are 2 very powerful words. They didn't know what I was going to do. I would write on the board, it's okay. And literally their shoulders would drop. They would take a deep breath, and all of this, they didn't even realize what was going on physically, that someone gave them permission that it's okay. And if it's okay, there's a possibility that I'm okay. Yeah.
Wow. Like I felt that in the moment, just like how, and maybe you did as well watching this video, because what happened to you, it might not feel like it's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to hear those words, and maybe you need to learn how to begin reframing that experience.
Yes.
You're not stuck in that reality. You're not stuck. You can shift. You can shift.
They
Yes,
can't. But a lot of times people, they think that they are synonymous with the circumstance. So when they think that they are the circumstance, then it's very hard to be okay. You know what I'm saying? And I love it. Yes. Bakari Jumber says it's simple yet powerful. And I'm telling you, I've had to use it on myself. Like, let me tell you, I don't use much in the therapy room that I haven't used on myself, and I found it to work, right? I don't just get up and experiment. There are times where I'll get a download from God and I'm like, okay, let me try this, and it works. But that it's okay, I've had to use on myself.
It's biblical as well, because my mind just went, I don't know where you got this from, because we haven't had this conversation, but my mind went to Elijah. I think it's Elisha, where he tells the woman who has no children, she's going to have a son. She has the son, and then he goes, and he comes back, and the boy, he gets sick, and then he dies. He actually dies. He's dead. Like, her only son is dead. And here Elijah is sending his messenger Gehazi, and he's saying, go make sure that everything is okay, and double check, just ask her, is her son all right? Is her husband all right? Is this person all right? And so she says, it is well.
Yeah.
She says, everything is all right.
Yeah.
It's okay. Her son is dead, but it's okay.
I'm
even thinking
that's deep on some other levels.
Yeah.
But you really can, any situation can be okay. Like, even, I know we said we weren't going to talk about it today. My mom just passed a couple weeks ago, so we're not going to delve in deeply today. But I was telling people, God started giving me these pockets of peace. Like these pockets of it's okay. That because that's something that you don't even think you're going to make it through. And so I just want to encourage everybody on here, no matter what it is. And if you're wondering, well, maybe your mom and you and your mom weren't super close, and I'm the baby, and so, but it's like, it's okay, which means I'm okay. So back to the original question, how do we normalize not being okay? Like, it doesn't mean anything. We talked about stories on here one time. We create stories, and then we begin to live in the stories, and the stories become our facts. And as you and I know, facts aren't always true. So once we create that story and we live in it, we base absolutely everything surrounding it. So you can be okay even if he never changes. You can be okay even if she never changes. Like, we really do think that being okay is contingent upon something happening. What do you think about that?
And someone else doing some other thing. And that's a very disempowered
Ooh,
perspective.
say that again. Say that again.
It's just a very disempowered perspective when our being okay is contingent upon somebody else doing something. That is not a position that we were designed to be in, especially for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
But coming back to this original statement here, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
I just want to speak to the person who right now is broken, who their prayer hasn't been heard, hasn't been answered, feels disappointed, feels like all alone in the midst of this mess that you didn't deserve, that you didn't ask for. It's okay to not be okay. And I just want to encourage, especially my men this month, with the focus being on our mental health.
Yeah.
Have to normalize. We've got to normalize saying versions of this phrase, I am not okay.
Yes, Lord.
We have we must normalize saying, hey, how are you? I am not.
I am not okay. So,
Okay.
yeah. And so my thing is, I apologize.
I'm glad it was the phone. It wasn't you. All I saw was your head. I'm like, is it an earthquake? What
I blame it on Angie 1811. I was trying to thank her for yeah. So blame it on Angie 1811. So, but what was your question again, to make sure I'm right here with you? I know that is so funny. I'm back though. Okay, everything's where it needs to be. I won't move it again.
No, I was just pointing out how we've got to normalize saying I am not okay.
Yeah.
Especially as men, and the reason why I'm glad you're okay. Thank you for that. Angel. The reason why it's so important is because here's how men interact with each other. All right, let's say hypothetically speaking, there is a loss in the family or something catastrophic happened. We're gonna say something like this: "Hey, bro, you good?" Respond to that. How is he gonna respond? Yo, you all right?
So it's really not an invitation.
No, not in man speak. It's the only thing we know how to say because we practiced it for so long, and it's like automatic. We don't even think about it, and it's the worst thing you could ever say because it's going to solicit a response. It's not going to give the individual an opportunity to really dive deep into their brokenness, into their woundedness, into their hurt, into their pain.
Yeah. And the thing is that, so it's interesting. So I think we need to, we probably need to normalize feelings first, because we have them, but we don't normalize the awareness of them.
Especially me.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh, women, the whole research shows that you put two girls in a room, when you come back, they are loving on each other, talking, and all of that. You put two boys in a room and you come back in about 20 minutes and they're fighting. There's been no true emotional intimacy shared. You put two women in a waiting room, give me 15 minutes. You're going to know we're going to know each other's labor stories. You're going to know where you are in a relationship, like all of that. Whereas men sitting in a room, not going to know much.
I don't know if I agree with all that, but
That's interesting. I wonder if you put a man and a woman in a room. Like, what if when you and I had first met at the conference, if we were the first ones to show up, nobody else was there. There was nobody to talk to. And we started talking. I wonder what that conversation would have been like. Do you think that we would have opened up to each other and became friends? Or do you think that we would have just talked about the subjects at hand, like the subject at hand, like the conference, the entrepreneurship? Or do you think you would have shared anything personal with me, or I would have shared? I mean, or who do you think would have been more likely?
I don't think that's a fair question.
Oh, it's not?
Because I don't think it's fair. Here's the reason I don't think it's fair. And I'm going to come back to, we got some great comments.
We do.
But the reason I don't think it's fair is because I wouldn't necessarily classify myself as normal. And so I might do more than the average person to, like, I was just thinking this past week, I was just like, okay, wow, this, like, for those of you who don't know, Celeste and I, we actually met at a conference a little more than a year ago. And what happened was I walked into the conference, and I went to sit down to get a better view. And she was sitting, there was a guy in between, and I still don't know how it all happened. I started talking to the guy.
He introduced me to you.
He did.
He did, because he was super cool. Me, him, and Shy, my daughter, had been kind of hanging out the last couple days. And he was like, yo, you got to meet. And I was like, oh, okay.
So coming to your point, though, me and I don't even remember the guy's name. We connected
Ricky.
like in the middle of the conference. So conference is going on, and we sitting here, we vibing. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if I can just say all of what you're saying. But generally speaking, the most important thing is that men, like what was placed in the comments here, men are taught that expressing our feelings, our emotions, and especially our pain is weak. That's what we're taught.
I'm wondering, why is that? Why sometimes when things happen in relationships, that if the man is in a state of not being okay, and in order to get to an authentically okay place, it requires them to be vulnerable. But if they're not familiar with that, the woman comes, and I'm speaking from experience, the woman comes looking for vulnerability, which is actually a sign that we're creating some sort of emotional intimacy here. And when that doesn't happen, she leaves frustrated. Now, this is not every situation. Everybody is different. Like you said, you're a little bit different. You may be a little more, but I'm saying, and it happens. But I wish more than anything, if nothing else tonight, if we can get one or two men on here to normalize it's not okay, so that you can actually be okay. Like, you're good. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you gay. Everybody knows if you're straight or gay. Let's just be real. Well, most of the time, it's a few on the download that just shock you. But other than those few, you're probably good. But all of that to say, it's attractive to a woman. Now, for real, I'm just being real. It's attractive to a woman when a man can share, because that's right, Angie. I don't know who you are, but you got me. So, because let's talk about the definition of intimacy. It's literally facts, sharing facts plus feelings, and that equals intimacy. So if the man is stuck on just facts and they haven't involved feelings, getting into this relationship with just facts, you are setting it up for doom, because you never get to true intimacy, which is what you need. And we know sex is not intimacy. It ain't ever been. I mean, it's an expression of intimacy if there's emotional intimacy that precedes it. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. No. Apologize. Said no more.
You're good. There's a lot that you said that I'm trying to I'll agree definitely that the female gender is much more capable at verbalizing emotions, and I was even thinking today that Sanaya says sharing facts plus feelings equals intimacy. Okay, that comment there.
Absolutely.
You said something. What was it? You were saying something. I was like, I'm not sure. Oh, you were like, it's attractive. Oh, yeah. Here's where we need to go there. We need to go there. You said it was attractive.
It is.
A man to start sharing his intimacy, and I got to put a huge asterisk on that because
look at us agreeing.
And I didn't say I was agreeing. I got an asterisk there.
Oh,
an asterisk.
I thought you said an exclamation mark.
No, asterisk. Oh. So yeah, this needs a little bit of commentary because here's what I can tell you. Many a man has opened himself up, and in opening himself up, I see you saying it's attractive. I see you saying that. But when he opens up, all right, and he tells you that he's not Superman, that he's Clark Kent, that he's Peter Parker.
Okay.
Some of you say that that's what you want, but then when he comes out with that, you can't handle it. And I have heard multiple women, I'm not saying it's you, but I've heard multiple women basically talk negatively about their men expressing emotion, almost equating them being more feminine than their female counterparts because they're sharing emotion, because they're sharing vulnerability. And especially when a man uses an opportunity to, thank you for acknowledging.
I'm waiting.
When a man is vulnerable, especially with his woman, the temptation is very strong. Not in the moment, because in the moment, you're patting him on the back, but let something happen, and let there be some type of disagreement. Like, women don't fight fair.
No. Emotionally immature women don't fight fair. Emotionally mature women fight for not just the moment, they fight for their future also. So that's a whole nother lie, right?
Whole nother lie. But here's what the topic today is: it's okay to not be okay. Here's one of the reasons why men don't open up their mouths is because if they were to open up their mouths and be vulnerable, some men would never hear the end of it.
You know what? So you're right. So again, I think that a couple of things. Timing is everything. So I went out with this guy many years ago, and it was an okay date, right? It wasn't like, oh, he knocked me off my feet. I really wasn't all that attracted to him. But I went out anyway, right? And so we went out. He took me back to my apartment, and he looked at me. He started expressing, he was a little vulnerable, and he said, now, first of all, I really didn't know him. I was a waitress at the time. He was cool. He was one of my customers, so anyway, but he looked at me, he expressed himself, and then guess what he said? So we are exclusive now. I stood there like this. Okay. I'm looking at the doors like, I can run out of that door, or can I get away from him from the back door? So if you start on the first date crying and expressing yourself, that's a turn off. That's not attractive. Yeah, boy, bye. But if we have already created the emotional intimacy where the relationship has a foundation to hold both of our vulnerabilities, and it's not weird, it actually brings you closer together. That's just me. That's my opinion. But don't do first date, second date, unless somebody just died. Other than that.
True. I can give you that. But let's rewind just a little bit further, where the little boy who's growing up hears from his daddy, his teachers, his siblings, his cousins.
Yeah.
You acting like a little.
Start with a P, huh?
You got all kind of. You can use that one. Little girl.
Oh, no. Let me explain the P I meant. I didn't mean the longer P word. I mean punk. We could say that. I didn't want people to think I don't curse. I didn't want
we gonna call them like we see them. But the reality is that it starts young. It's not
You're
even when we get
exactly
to a
right.
romantic relationship.
So another live we need to talk about, Danny, is how do we shift that mind? The mind of the 30, 40, 50-year-old man who at 8 years old was told those feelings that you have, act like those don't exist in order for you to be a boy.
Mm-hmm.
In
Basically,
order for you to be respected, in order for you to be seen, like, because they will call it, stop acting like a little girl, especially in the African American community. Stop acting like a little girl.
mm-hmm. So what's he gonna do the next time he has, a lot of feelings and emotions pent up on the inside of him? You think he's really gonna open?
He's sucking that up. And I
Yeah.
get it. So I get what you're saying. So maybe because women don't really we oftentimes don't know to take all of that into consideration. So now we need that part of you that was shut off at 8 years old. Like,
Yeah.
I need that. I need that to come through. But in your, you know what I'm saying, in your 40-something, 50-year-old self, but how do we get that back after all the training? Like Bakari Jumper was saying, it's like, if all the training has been don't, now you get into a relationship with someone. So let me tell you something we can't deal with tonight either. So what happens is that when that man can't express himself, the opposite, the only other option to that is to begin to shut down.
Oh.
So if he begins, if he begins to shut down, then they enter into the P and C relationship, the parental and child relationship, which opens the door for affairs, for everything. Because now the woman becomes a parent, the man becomes a child, and these roles are, oh my gosh, Danny, that was good. That was good. So, okay, Bakari Jumper said, I've cried around my wife because I'm comfortable with my masculinity.
Yeah.
Secondly, she understands. I mean, when I tell you, give your wife a big hug for me, and I'm sending you a big hug, Bakari, because that's a sign of maturity right there. Because I'm comfortable with my masculinity.
But it has to be expressed in safe space. Now, my question to my man is, would you have cried in front of other people?
That's a good question.
Or would it only happen in the context of this safe space? Because maybe we're in a situation at work where something has happened. I'm not necessarily saying you snotting and crying and but I'm just simply saying it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And for us to have emotions, and like you said, to be a human being.
Yeah.
Because when somebody hurts you, the last thing we want to do is pretend like it doesn't. It's emotional constipation. And anything that's stuck on the inside of you is going to create an unhealthy situation.
And then can I say this? This is going to be really deep for my men. We started talking about it a little bit. Look at me getting in position to say it. That is so crazy. Anytime it's stuck like that, anything stuck, think about your colon. Okay, think about your colon when things are kind of stuck there. What does your colon sit on top of? Some very vital organs that you want to be in great use for 100 years, right? Not just because they are your sexual organs, but also you need them for other things too. But when you are in this cycle of being stuck, especially when it has anything to do with relationships, there's a physical implication to that. And that is, it can affect so many things depending upon the emotions that you're holding in. But one of the things that it definitely affects, if it has something to do with a relationship, are your reproductive organs. And you want those working. Oh, she said, thank you. We both send love back. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, this is a really good discussion. And so what I would say, I know in a few minutes we probably have to close out, but this is much needed. Like, I just want to say, just like Bakari Jumper and his beautiful, and Mrs. Bakari Jumper, as we're going to honor them because they're doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's an exchange, there's respect for the exchange, and clearly something you said, Danny, and I responded that emotionally mature women don't do that. So clearly the missus must be doing this right. She doesn't bring it back up when they're in an argument. Mm-hmm. See, you're a little girl, you just such and such. No, she understands to respect the space of vulnerability. So when they're in a different situation or an argument or something's going on, she knows I don't ever bring that up then. That is a safe, that's how we build our safe foundation. And it's a way that one of the things I use to help a fair proof in a marriage.
That's good. I was going to ask people who are here and present, put in the comments. I'm curious to know what percentage of women do you think have that level of emotional maturity in their relationship to steward their man's vulnerability well? Please be honest.
What
Let me know in the chat.
Percentage, and are you willing to do that? Like, yeah. Are you willing? Mm-hmm. Like I while they're answering, I have 2 young men and a girl, and I have raised both of them with me apologizing for things that I would do wrong, and I would ask them how they feel. How you feel about such and such? Like for real, and they are straight as arrows. You know what I'm saying? They're not overly sensitive, because sometimes in the African American home we think that we're going to create soft boys if we welcome their feelings. No. So how did you feel about that? Now, I didn't overdo it. Now, I wasn't extreme. Everything in moderation. But they need to know that they have feelings, and I welcome their opinions.
So you raised another point. Like, how much is too much? Come on. How much vulnerability is too much vulnerability? Because I'm just rehearsing. Even as we're in this live, I'm rehearsing the many things that I've heard come from men and women that were the result of a man's vulnerability, the result of a man sharing vulnerably. You know, stop acting like a little bitch, you know what?
Yep.
And so, like, I want to make sure that we got a comment.
That's
here.
A good comment right there. I'm ready to eat it up, but I'm trying to be good because we've been on here for a while.
Okay.
So
I got Preston inspired.
Okay. He said, yeah, go ahead. What did he say?
For the replay, because the replay can't see these comments. Says, I found most women raised with both parents in home over 75%. I'm curious other people to let me know how many what percentage of a woman stewards her man's vulnerability in with grace and wisdom and tact.
But I appreciate wisdom.
Yeah.
It is. Can I just say the wisdom that I've had to use to keep my mouth closed at times, I had to be prayerful and learn and see that the other didn't work, right? But this whole thing about women raised with both parents, now I was raised with both my parents in the home, so I don't know if that just made the difference. Maybe I always felt like my dad was present, so maybe I wasn't fighting for some things that maybe girls that didn't grow up with both parents in the home. And I tell people, my father has never been the gal, we need to sit down and talk. Let me just tell you how beautiful. He told me I was beautiful. Oh, you look nice today. You know, like it wasn't an everyday thing, but it was balanced. It was there. And I always knew that my daddy's almost 86. And to this day, he doesn't want me to spend my own money for anything. And I'm like, Daddy, I'm big and grown, you know? And he's like, no. You got to go out to eat today. I got to make sure and I'm like, so that's Daddy. Now, I always felt God. So maybe there's a respect that I have for men that maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to say maybe some other girls maybe had to work a little harder for that. I don't know. But that's an interesting point. I would love to know, Preston Inspires. We got to have you on one day. I want you to explain. We need to talk about that one. So DM one of us if you're willing to show up on a live so we can discuss that. And I might put out a little poll, and maybe you can too, Danny, so we can get some feedback on that. And then what did Bakari Jomber said, I've only cried in my safe space. Honestly, whenever I receive disheartening news, I've always been in a place where I could weep. Interesting.
I want to point out also, Simone said that I always felt that if a man cried, it must be, all caps, really bad.
I just went back to her comment. Okay, Simone.
And I think that brings up about a point as well, because the whole premise of this live is it's okay to not be okay. And probably a man has been carrying something for longer than he needed to because he didn't feel like there was safe space. Yeah. I mean, where can a man really go in this world where like I know that my man just said he's got safe space, but the average man, I would argue, does not, or doesn't at least feel that he has that safe space. So if it's there, a lot of times it might be, but if we don't feel it, if we haven't practiced being vulnerable, it's impossible to do. It's like men don't like playing sports that we're not good at. We stick to what we know. We go over here and play this sport, but if it's a sport that we haven't played, it's just like, no, I'm not going out there with them. With those hermanos, you know, they be out here running circles around me, kicking the ball. I know how to throw a ball. I can't kick.
Yeah,
we're gonna stick with what we know.
So then expressing feelings, if it ain't what you know, then what do you do?
Well, here's where we got to have some dialogue. We got to have an exchange, because we haven't been, from a very young age, we haven't known that it was okay to not be okay. If a little girl cries, instantly people are rallying around her, you know, patting her, you know, just like that. There's just an instant. If a little boy,
there is
there's a difference.
There is.
Man up. You good? And let me say this. I have been guilty of this with my own two sons. And I remember, and I'm not going to call them out, but they were playing middle school basketball one time, and it was an emotional experience because they were getting blown out. And there was some emotion, and I'm just like, yo, we're on the basketball court. We're here to play. Like, you don't have a broken bone. Like, you're in there. Like, man up. And he called me on it, on the court. I'm the principal of the school, like the assistant coach of the team. And he's just like, no, I'm emotional, and I'm entitled to be emotional. This is who I am. And I said, wow.
He said that to you.
He did. It may not have been those exact words, but yeah. And he said them with a little bit of,
I like it.
I was like, okay, respect on your name.
Okay, Danny, I like it.
It was an experience that helped me begin to reshape. I had already kind of started, but it's so ingrained in us. Yo, man up. Yeah. Like, yo, you all right? Like, come on, bro. Like, we men. We don't have time to sit around and cry like no little, but we have to stop it. We have to stop it, because at worst, it's costing us our lives.
I'm telling you, because I'm gonna put it like this. This will be one of the last things I say, I promise. Everybody has an emotional cup, despite the gender. You got an emotional cup. Something happens, you have thoughts and feelings. If you just express the thought, or you shouldn't have, or the feeling goes somewhere. It goes into your emotional cup. So imagine living year after year, and you keep having thoughts, but you don't express the emotions because it's not been welcomed and you haven't been invited. Like your son, it's like when you realize that there's no invitation needed, and that your self-worth has been what it's always been, and it can never change no matter the experience you go through, then you start saying it like boldly. I just want to encourage, I do want to read the comments right quick, but I want to encourage everybody, male or female, you got to take care of yourself. If you woke up tomorrow and your leg was bent and wouldn't straighten out, you would have somebody there trying to get you to a doctor. Well, your heart is on life support if you have not been expressing. Your emotional cup is just completely blown. So we want to encourage you today to, if you don't know how, reach out. Like, we really are, we are here genuinely to serve. We come on MindSHIFT Mondays for that. And so DM us. We will do whatever we can to try to get you wherever, and so that you can start somewhere. Like, if you're already 30 years old, why live the last 70 years old just replaying the last 30? It's the same day, it's the same year. It's just like, come on. So I just want to encourage you today. Your feelings are important. You are important. And so it's really time to, it's time. We're talking about National, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Well, I want to extend that to the women.
That's good.
Okay? Because we deal with the men all day too. Like, we got to be healthy, whether we're with somebody or not with somebody. It's just healthy. It's healthy. But did you want to say something? I'm going to read.
No.
Bakri Jumber said, my safe space is my prayer room, and my wife is my best friend. She has a nurturing heart. She's a virtuous woman. I've been blessed. Okay, I'm done, family. We love your comments. So Angie says, when I started dating, my father would say, we need to talk, sit down over here. And he would always say, I don't think you should date him. He's a candy. He's going to run to his mother every time there's a problem. So I hope that you listen to your father, because I'm going to tell you, a man can. So somebody that expresses themselves, like Danny was saying, everything needs to be in moderation. Like, even if you're a woman, if on the first date I start saying, life just ain't been fair, and I say, and then I went through this, let me tell you, you might pay for the meal, but that meal and the tip is to make sure that I don't come back. You're paying for me to. I wouldn't even. What?
True.
If I'm telling you, so there it has to be balanced. You always need balance in everything. If somebody's go-to is crying every time, then they're lacking coping skills. And they need something else. There's some stories being created. There are some unhealthy thinking patterns that are contributing to it. So I'm just saying, hopefully that answers the question just a little bit. But what do you want to say to close us out, or anything else you want to say, Danny? Growth Coach D.
I think that what I would say is, as men, typically we understand that one of our primary roles is providing, protecting. And I just want to point out that you can't do nothing for no one.
That's right.
Or yourself.
Yeah.
You can't pour from an empty glass. Going
That's
back to the emotional cup.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for us to have these conversations, have this dialogue, and we want to hear from you. So, like, if you're watching this now and the replay, put your experience with this phrase. Was it okay for you? Is it okay? Have you normalized, have the men especially in your lives, even if you're a lady, is it okay to say these words? I'm not okay. It's not. How do we go about changing it? Because until we normalize being human, even Jesus, I mean, he's there in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Yes.
And he's got all power in his hand, to the point that he's like, yo, don't get it twisted. If I wanted to, I could call 12 legions of angels.
Yes.
Like, we would be all right. He was on his tide tripping. But the thing is, he was able to verbalize in the Garden of Gethsemane, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. My soul is exceedingly sorrowful to the point of death.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay
to not be okay.
It's okay.
It's healthy to verbalize that. All manner of evil and toxicity you hold on to in your body.
Yeah.
When you are holding on to that false narrative of masculinity that doesn't even exist.
Mm.
And so I just want to encourage
Yeah.
everyone who's listening. I can't say it enough. One of the things that stops us is this thing called shame. Shame, it keeps us running and hiding.
Yeah.
Instead of uncovering and exchanging, dialoguing with people as our true, authentic selves. Who are you?
Yeah.
Really? What's really going on? Stop asking the men in your life, yo, you good? How else is he going to respond to that question? Stop it.
That's a closed-ended question. So that's a takeaway. How about one of the takeaways is that when you ask questions now, ask from a sincere, genuine place of how are you really doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's open-ended. They gotta really answer. It's not you good.
Yeah.
That's a
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's normalize that.
Yeah.
And as we normalize that, I think that we'll get to a healthier space where we're able to contribute to other people's lives. And just stop pretending. Stop pretending. Stop pretending.
Yeah.
We've lost too many people who try pretending because you can only pretend for so long. Stop.
And then that emotional cup,
Stop.
it blows, and you make a decision that you didn't think it was possible for you to make. So yeah, but yeah.
What are some of your
Okay.
Celeste, what would you say to someone, men or women, who are battling with this?
I think you said a whole lot. I think that starting out with just saying the words, it's okay, before you can actually believe it. Like when you don't believe it and you feel like, I don't know how to get there, the first thing you can control is what comes out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that impresses the mind. And then eventually the subconscious mind, it's okay. It really is okay. And it's okay. And then you get to it's okay, therefore I'm okay. So you just start with the words. Start with something simple, because that's vulnerability right there, just a little bit. And even if nobody is around, just to say it's okay. That's not a cover up. Okay. And then from there, then you try somebody that is safe.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's that person that's always been trying to get you to open up. Yeah. But you got to trust somebody. And sometimes it's so hard that sometimes you need to go to your note section and write it down before you go to the person, right? And then it'll get to a place where you don't have to do that. But writing actually especially pen to paper or pencil to paper, whatever it is, actually helps to pull things up from the subconscious mind. Yeah. And she said it took her a long time to do that, but I did. And so literally I would tell myself, I would take my hands and I would say, shift back. And I would say, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Those two words, it's okay. Like, it is okay for me to feel how I feel.
Say it.
Right. It's okay. Like that. And sometimes I think we get confused because we try to do right or wrong with the feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Throw that out the window and just stick there. So I'm not going to give you nothing real deep, but just start there. And we'll be here every Monday. We come every Monday at 6 p.m. And make sure you share this live. Share this live. And I think it's a great discussion too. And boy, the younger we can get people to listen to this and start discussing it, we can change this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
We could change families. We could change that divorce rate, because a lot of people got divorced off of a misunderstanding. I know someone that divorced from a misunderstanding, and he didn't realize until 3 years after the divorce. And now he's had 2 more wives. He wishes he really get that first one back. But nonetheless, thank you guys for joining. Anything you want to say as we close out, Growth Coach D?
Yeah, no, we just want to encourage people to recognize the power of your mind.
Yes.
Your mouth, as was already said, and practice saying different versions of this phrase. I am not okay. Say that. Only then can you get to the place where you can shift and say, okay, I'm okay. But until you start with I am not okay, you can't get to I am okay.
Yep.
And so that's you.
That's right.
for you to be, experiencing that promise of life and life more abundantly, because that's not limited. It's all areas and aspects of our lives, including this one. And so I encourage you to continue your journey of stewarding your thoughts, shifting them to create a whole new life, because there's nothing that you, man and woman of God, can't do. So we'll see you next week for MindSHIFT Monday. Please feel free to let us know your comments, what you need us to unpack some more, and you might have agreed or disagreed with something you heard that you think needs emphasis. Put it in the comments, and we'll see you next week for MindSHIFT Monday.
And we love the comments still coming in. I'm not okay. I'm a hot mess. Express that on a hard day, and that's okay. Yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do? Look, not only is nobody gonna kill you for it, your organs and your mind might just be a little more relieved. So, but have a wonderful week. We look forward to being back with you guys next Monday at 6 p.m. MindSHIFT Days.
Thing too, because even as you said that, there are a limited number of men in my life who, when I ask them how they're doing, they'll tell me, "Yeah, I'm not okay." Like, "Yeah, I'm this, I'm that." I can think of like three. And
wow.
When I hear them express it, I got more respect for them.
Yeah, me too.
And so, even while it's unfamiliar, even while it's uncomfortable, even while it seems impossible, just practice.
Practice it.
Practice. The more you practice the more you practice anything, the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah.
So practice saying versions of this phrase, and then you'll be able to shift. You'll be able to shift once you do that. So that's it.
All right. Very good, guys. Have a wonderful week.
Yep.